Hey, greetings, folks. I've got some questions that came in again and been piling up, so I thought we'll get through a few of them. Why do teachers differ on if our lifestyle and habits increase or decrease these intrinsic energies? One example is differing views on Jing. Okay, so let me have a look. That's sort of like a multi-pronged question with a whole bunch of branches to it. Now, if you have a painter who learns to paint from a master painter, and there's 10 people in that classroom who learn together, all those 10 people are going to be very, very, very different. Their skills are going to be unique, their understanding of the principles of painting are going to be unique, and they're all going to take a different, very unique path. Qigong is very similar in this way. Qigong teaches you principles, but your own uniqueness creates a different pathway of how you apply those principles. So if, let's say, you go to a Tai Chi school and they're teaching internal Tai Chi and you have 10 people that learn ward off, all 10 are going to learn the same principle with different levels of comprehension of how that works, but their ward off energy will be different according to their uniqueness, their comprehension, and so forth. So we'll end up with a whole range of different energies. Now, you brought the word lifestyle and habits. Now, when we're looking at lifestyle, the major thing that stops Qigong and internal martial arts from being a spiritual discipline is alcohol. Drugs, yes, but not so many people are that stupid. Alcohol is publicly accepted. You can buy it anywhere. There's a lot of social pressure to have alcohol. And in all spiritual systems, anything that's true, there's this belief that alcohol is a sin to the spirit, that it corrupts your spirit, it dissolves your spirit, it breaks your spirit, and it robs a person of any potentiality of truth, universal wisdoms, connection, universal mind. There's no chance of touching divinity if a person consumes alcohol. It's impossible. And there's a metaphysical reason as to why. So if we look at this very, very quickly, because it's sort of like a side branch to your question, alcohol dissolves the matrices between the mind and stillness. Now, in the same way you concentrate your mind in form, you get a matrix building to generate a relationship to your meditation object, to your intellect, to your creativity, to your developing skills. The matrices align in that direction. For stillness, they align in the opposite direction, and that stillness, it's a byproduct of you paying attention to something that's more refined than yourself. So if a person enters into prayer, for instance, they're surrendering to a higher power. Everything in their body momentarily becomes quiet as they enter into that stillness, and there's an accumulation of an akashic substance between your mind and the stillness, which allows you union with divinity. Alcohol dissolves that substance and destroys the spirit. And why? It just is. It's one of those things that just happens. So any person who drinks alcohol, they're being robbed of deeper intuition. Their ego will become bigger to validate them drinking alcohol. They'll study more books to gain more knowledge to compensate, and they'll get caught in a loop. And if they're a teacher, they'll delude their students with intellectual prowess, not with direct experience. So this becomes a bit of a problem with teachers who drink alcohol. They're highly delusional about truth of the Dharma, truth of spiritual growth, truth of spiritual teachings. They'll know everything from books and they can give great answers, but their direct experience will be very limited and minimal. They can produce a lot of power coming into form, let's say through Qigong internal arts, but they can produce no understanding of universal knowledge and principles that's outside of form. So they're isolating themselves from the non-dual, essentially. Okay, so the other aspect of alcohol, which is obvious and everybody knows this, is that if you have an IQ test, you go from wherever your IQ is to the bottom 1% when you're drunk. Whatever your social abilities are, it goes to the bottom of the 1%. Whatever your physical skills are, they go to the bottom of the 1%. whatever your social graces are, whatever your ethics, your integrity, your virtues, they all go to the bottom. So we all know that alcohol takes away anything that is good within you and makes it bad. It takes your best and it flips it on its head. And everybody knows this about alcohol. And that's just evidence in itself that it destroys the fabric of the spirit. It is a sin to the spirit to consume alcohol. And this, I think, is the biggest answer to your first question. Why do teachers differ in the lifestyle habits to increase, decrease intrinsic energies? One example is differing views on Jing. Okay, so I hope that covers that. Now, when we go to your second question, is the end stage of all this spiritual independence and ascension? Relatively, yes, it is. Non-dually, no, it's not. Okay, is immortality a result or a side effect of training? Well, it's immortality in the physical. I have never seen anyone who has a longer life. They have a higher quality of life, but not necessarily longer from training Qigong in a way that's for health. I've never seen a Qigong system optimized for health. Most of the Taoist systems aren't really that healthy. They're a little bit good for you, but not great for you. Most Qigong systems will overheat your body and have negative side effects if they're not managed properly. I don't have any evidence that says that physical mortality or longevity is a byproduct of Qigong or Tai Chi or any internal art for that matter. If you use it wisely, you'll have a higher quality life till you die. That I believe to be correct. But will you live longer? Maybe. I can't validate that one. When we talk about spiritual immortality, definitely. When the mind rests in a non-dual state for an extended period of time, it accumulates a center of gravity and connection to that, a relationship to that. And when you pass away, if that center of gravity of consciousness, the mind raises into that non-dual light state. As it does so, the freedom of choice exists because the mind just rests itself above the karmic pull of samsara, which forces reincarnation. Do you want to reincarnate or don't you? You get a type of freedom of will within that choice. And so training stillness, your relationship to stillness, every meditation practice you have, there's a type of byproduct of stillness. If you pay special attention to that and accumulate all these different types of stillness to create a fabric of stillness, to be still and know that you're a vibrational match to God, yes, that immortality comes into play. Okay, this might be a silly question, but is there a time one graduates from partner work? Definitely. Partner work is sort of like getting the fundamentals of testing the effectiveness of what you're doing, breaking delusion, testing energies on people you've never encountered. Like you can heal a person or you can't heal a person. You can bounce a person or you can't bounce a person, especially if they don't know what you're doing. You can move their subconscious or you can't move their subconscious to create an outcome. You can do a tarot reading, a psychic reading, and be correct or not correct. And people will tell you very quickly, was the past correct? Is the present on point? And they can use that as a predictor of what you say about the future. So, yeah, the immortality and side effects of training, yeah, all those things are there. Now, this might be a silly question, but is there a time to graduate from partner work? Okay, we just covered that. I heard a teacher featured martial camp saying there comes a point where one doesn't have to do Qigong. Well, yes, you graduate. You start with physical martial arts and you discover internal. And you move from internal martial arts and you might do Tai Chi, not a martial art. And then from Tai Chi you might take Qigong more seriously. And you may be doing all these at the same time. And then from Qigong, energy work, that's magical practice bringing things into form. You start taking things out of form. And Hermetics and Buddhism are methods of taking things out of form. So then when you move from taking things out of form and you work purely on releasing, then you start working with the higher dharmas and resonance of universal mind and so forth. Okay, so I have some personal doubts on that. Yeah, understandable. Look at a vibrational scale. And from the vibrational scale, you'll get a sense of, are you training physically? It's great. Are you training internally? That's great. Are you training internal with release? Tai Chi, great. Are you working with Qigong principles more deeply? Excellent. Are you working with releasing principles hermetically and Buddhistically to refine the spirit and consciousness? It's all vibrational scale. You can measure it inside of the physical practices are inside of time and space. Internal practices tend to release time. As you work up to releasing space, you're working more on breaking the relationship between the mind and all the objects that's interacting with, defabricating. And then from there we pay attention to stillness, which is a byproduct of all that, and the underlying infinity quality for that pure ascension. Okay, well, I hope that answers those questions. If you do have any other questions about practice, over the next month or so I do have a bit of time, and I'll be able to make these videos, walking videos. Usually I'm walking around, just out on the street. It's a bit noisy here. I head back to Thailand in a couple of days, and it's a little bit quieter there, so I can do some walking videos there for you. If you've asked questions in recent months and I haven't answered them, either via email or by a video, just send it to me again and I can do those replies. I'm looking at doing some live streaming. If you're interested in interacting with Q&A via live stream, just let me know and I can set that up and make that happen. Most probably via YouTube, I would say. But if people are interested in that, I'm more than happy to interact with them in that way. Okay, thanks for your time, everyone. You have a wonderful day.